Okay, I think we are live now. Thank you, Burbucha. Welcome all in this session where we are going to talk about the benefits of getting an American education and degree in Kosovo. The Diaspora Flet conference was very successful 2 years ago, and given the pandemic situation and bans on traveling, this is the next best thing. We try to organize this session under the premise that the Albanian diaspora has often been the epicenter of initiatives that have had a major impact in Kosovo's development. I mean, the capital that diaspora sends and has been flown here are likely to remain a determining factor, especially in regards to remittances that diaspora sent to families for well-being, individual investment, and development. So the question that we ask ourselves on these 2 days of conference is, what have we offered back? And for our diaspora, studying maybe in Kosovo gives the comfort of being next to their extended family members in this part of the world, enjoy the culture of the ancestor, the fresh food, the youthful environment, and also reinforce maybe some of the language skills or learn the language, and yet again still receive an internationally accredited and worldwide recognized U.S. degree. Now, all of this, is possible thanks to a partnership that RIT Kosovo has. So, for this reason, on this conference, we have invited the panel, and we intend to do this as an interactive discussion with other conference members, whether they're potential students or even parents of potential students coming to here. And we've invited Dr. Kamal Sharabi, who's the president and dean of faculty for RIT Kosovo. So please allow me just to introduce shortly Dr. Kamal Sharabi. He's worked in higher education for more than 35 years, have served in Keene University for more than 20 years as a professor of electrical engineering technology and the department chair. In 2007, he joined Farmingdale State College as a Dean of School of Engineering Technology, Director of Collegiate Science and Technology Entry Program, and the Executive Director of Renewable Energy and Sustainability Center. Dr. Sharabi joined RIT Kosovo in August 2018 as a Dean of Faculty, and then later on was appointed as the President. So, Dr. Sharabi, welcome to the Diaspora Flet Conference.
Thank you.
One of the first things that we would like to know, having had experience of more than 35 years in higher education in the United States, and especially around the New York area, what is the difference between a student getting the degree in New York or getting an RIT degree in Kosovo? And is there a difference?
Sure. And thank you very much, Wisar, for your introduction, and you reminding me that how old I am, and I'm delighted to be over here and to talk with the diaspora, they're interested, I'm sure, to come back home in some form and spend some time here. Now, as far as the education goes, it is one of the most important things in our life. If you think about if considering, let's say, the average life of a human being is 80 years, okay, we have spent 25% of our time in education environment. From when we're 5 years old, we start officially the elementary school. At age 4 or 3, we start the kindergarten. Therefore, if you think about it, the most important thing in our life. And education is what will set us for the rest of our life. We start with education and we're going to go through. Now the question is, okay, American education versus education someplace else. Well, I myself, in some form, I'm kind of diaspora. Okay, I came from different background, different education system to United States, complete my education, and it looked like it was so much fun. I never left the education environment. All my life been in education environment. Now, during the years, I learned one thing, that globally, every country that exists, they're looking at as United States model of education as the education system that works. And they're trying to adopt it. Of course, it's not easy for them to adopt because of the political environment that they have to deal with, change of system that they have to deal with, and every time that there is a change, there is a resistance. So that already has been established, that the US education model is the best. And the proof of that is the growth. Just compare, what's happening in the US, in the businesses, in companies, industry, every sector, when you look at how fast it's growing and how everything are working together so fine compared to other places. That's the proof of it, because it's through education. Now the students, the Albanian, in general, now of course, is broken into different countries in the region. Okay, they have that opportunity to get that education right here in their backyard. Okay. The education we deliver here is exact same as what, one can receive in main campus in United States. That means the quality is number one. System, of course, they learn that system. In addition, they have the opportunity to be in both places. They can spend a year here. They can spend a year in US. In addition, they can spend some time in other countries that we have campuses. Now, why that's important? The concept of diversity. Today, one of the major problems that we have is all these conflicts that's going on around the globe, because we don't understand the diversity, because we didn't learn how to respect other culture, other society, and the living style that they have. Now, our students, they have that opportunity. Our students, they have that opportunity to learn it and to experience it. What else is important, to get their education from American system? Well, it's recognized everywhere. Everywhere that you go, when you have your degree from accredited University of United States, it's recognized, is accepted. They don't have to do anything else. Whereas now, if you get your degree from another country, even the European country, don't get me wrong, that I'm just talking about the Kosovo or the neighboring country. Even from Europe, when you get your degree, when you go across the border, that's not true. There's a process. You have to go and to basically do nostrification of your degree in order to be valid. Okay. Now, why? Because our degree is established. The US degree is established that meet the standards of all the countries. As far as the field goes, field of study, if it's psychology, engineering, or any other thing is, the courses are, across the globe is the same, the same theory we have to learn. There's another component, is the soft skill that only really, I can say, United States system has the soft skill fully integrated into the education system. And that's what makes the graduates from the US model, more marketable, throughout the world. And as a result, everybody is, okay, now we don't have anything to lose. They know everything. They have all those things on their belt, and they can, use it and integrate it into organization that they join. Okay, those are advantages. And, maybe on the surface, we don't see those advantages, but when deeply you get involved into the education system and you start working, you will see those, advantage. Again, that's again my personal opinion based off the number of years I've been in education system, and I have worked actually in United States and outside United States. I work in Asia, East Asia, of course in Balkan region I'm working, and many years in the state. There is no comparison, and plus remember, those of you that are outside the Kosovo and you're in the US or in Europe, the education that you're going to get over here in RIT Kosovo, which is the same as main campus, at the fraction of the cost. Okay, over here, if you add your cost of living, everything included, maybe come to about 50,000 for 4-year education. If you be back in the state, it's about $250,000. It's not that much difference, right? Therefore that's another big advantage, and you're gonna get good foods. You don't just get hamburger and hot dog. You get much more than the hamburger and hot dogs over here. I hope that helps.
That most definitely helps, and most definitely helps the parent as well. The students in many cases are interested also about the life and the student life that they would be experienced. One of the panelists in this conference is Dardan Hayrizi. Dardan was born in New York and grew in New York, and due to the nature of his father's work, he and his family moved from New Jersey to Virginia, and then also back to Kosovo. Dardan attended and graduated RIT Kosovo, or how it's known in US, the American University in Kosovo, in 2014, where he also served as a tutor to students and in various volunteering capacities as well. And right now, together with some of his friends, he established Teach for Kosova, where they try to provide a little bit of support to the existing education system for the pre-university education. But it's most definitely interesting for Dardan to be raised in a different culture and environment, and then come here, although this is from father's side, maybe maybe part of his culture, but you were born and grew in US. How was the ability to cope with this culture shift, or was there a culture shift?
Hi, thanks Visar for the introduction. Hello everyone. As Visar mentioned, my name is Dardan Hayrizi, and I'm originally from the United States of America. I moved to Kosovo in 2009 with my family, and I'm an RITK alumnus, class of 2014. I completed my bachelor's degree at RITK in business management, and with a minor in media and communications. I want to open up this part of the discussion by asking everyone here to reflect on your own experiences as undergraduate students, applying to universities, anxiously waiting to get responses, and receiving letters of acceptance are possibly some of the most nerve-wracking, but at the same time, most memorable times as a student. So I invite you to reminisce together with me. I want to begin by sharing a short story about myself and my journey through RIT Kosovo, both as an Albanian American and a student. In June of 2009, I was attending Dominion High School in Sterling, Virginia, and was preparing myself for my senior year. I had spent my junior year researching different universities: George Mason University, Virginia Tech, Virginia Commonwealth University, James Madison University, just to name a few. And I had fully immersed myself in the process of thinking about my future, what I wanted to study, and the potential institutions that I would be considering to complete my studies and realize my goals both personally and professionally. During this time, my father had been working in Kosova as a program manager for a linguistics operation for the US military on Camp Bondsteel in Perizai. On average, I would see my father, I would say about 2 to 3 times a year between 2008 and 2009, as he would visit our family for a few weeks, then fly out back to Kosova to continue his work there. It was during my father's visit in early June 2009 that he proposed that my family and I leave our perfectly comfortable life in Northern Virginia and move to what he referred to as the old country, Kosova, where he was born. And this would be temporary. My family thought he was joking initially, and then we found out that he wasn't. So in order to convince us, he even to convince us to even consider this idea, he said we would visit Kosova during the summer vacation that year, and if we thought living here was doable, then we would decide as a family what we wanted to do. Summer of 2009 was a roller coaster of emotions for me. I did not know the Albanian language. I did not have much experience with Albanian culture, and to top it all off, I moved from living in a house in a quiet suburban cul-de-sac to an apartment in the bustling city of Pristina. For 17-year-old me, it seemed as though everything that I had known and understood about the world around me had been uprooted and tossed out the window. Ultimately, my family decided to remain in Kosova until the end of my senior year of high school in 2010. And I had applied to multiple universities in the United States, but also decided to apply to the Rochester Institute of Technology, Kosovo, RIT, because I had heard from multiple friends and family members that it was unlike any educational institution in Kosovo. It was renowned for its high-quality undergraduate program and for providing an immersive American education experience. I remember sitting in my apartment in Pristina, reviewing my letters of acceptance to the universities I had applied to in the US. I was also accepted at RITK and clearly remember thinking to myself, should I really do this? On the one hand, I had the opportunity to return to the US and begin my studies there. On the other hand, I could take a chance and see what RITK was all about. After giving it much thought and weighing the pros and cons of my options, I decided to remain in Kosovo and take a chance on RITK. Initially, my plan was to study at RITK for a period of 2 years and then transfer to a university of my choice in the US at a later point. However, my entire perspective changed the moment I began my studies at RITK. For me, it was the first time that I had real, sustained contact with Albanian culture. I met so many incredible individuals who pushed my thinking and formed friendships that have withstood the test of time. It's already been now 6 years since I've graduated, and it's kind of hard to fathom that. At RITK, I had the opportunity to complete internships, or co-ops as we call them, which are mandatory in order to graduate. By completing these internships, I gained experience as a professional and developed my skills in the workplace. Classes at RITK were thought-provoking, engaging, and practical. For example, in one of my classes for public speaking, our professor used the camera to record each student giving a speech on a topic. And then afterwards, the whole class watched the recording of each student to analyze what they did well, what they could do better. It was a bit embarrassing, but it got the job done. In another class called Management Science, our professor instructed the class to visit manufacturing plants to understand how certain products are made. It was in this class that I learned how Birapea brews their beer, and I would recommend anybody who has the chance to go and actually watch the process. It's pretty fascinating. RITK culture allows students to express themselves in their own unique way. For example, during my time as a student at RITK, I was part of the media club. We were tasked with designing the yearbook, organizing different events, and designing different materials which were circulated throughout the university and to external stakeholders. And these things were things like pamphlets, flyers, brochures. We even did like a commercial about AUK, RIT. Tuition at RITK is significantly lower than the tuition an average student pays in the US. On average, American students owe anywhere from $100,000 to $400,000 in school loans by the time they graduate. The total amount of outstanding student loans in the US reached an all-time high in 2019 at $1.6 trillion, according to credit reporting agencies. And after finishing my bachelor's degree at RITK, I in fact was saving money and not in debt like many of my American friends whom I still have contact with. I want to mention the job opportunities that RITK continually shares with its community. To this day, I still receive emails from RITK about new job openings and internship opportunities. And it's a great feeling knowing that the institution where I spent a critical period of my life is still looking out for me. As a final thought, I just wanted to share that I am currently completing a master's degree in strategic foresight and innovation at RITK. And I've also had Dr. Sharabi as a professor. And the program is challenging and engaging, and it's recognized, as Dr. Sharabi has pointed out, it's recognized around the world. And I believe that even like after completing this program, I believe that all the skills that I have acquired from going through it will be applied to my professional career. I would have not applied for this program if I had not had full confidence in RITK's ability to provide me with a quality education. So with that, I will close just by saying, take a chance on RITK. You won't regret it. Go Tigers.
Thank you, Dardan. When you came here, was it easy to make friends? This is also what I'm interested. Let's say I'm a diaspora kid, and I'm using the word kid, right? I'm a grown-up, and then I'm coming here. I have some cousins, but I want to create more friends. How easy it is to adapt an environment like this, being raised, let's say in US or even in Europe?
I would say that in terms of making friends, it's really easy to make friends in Kosovo. People are very understanding, especially for people that come from the United States, like myself. In the beginning, I didn't really speak the Albanian language, and I still have some difficulties expressing myself today. But I've learned, just through interacting with all my friends and the people that I've met here, that it's better to try. And even if you sound silly, people will acknowledge that you're trying and respect you more rather than not trying at all. So, and to answer your question, Visar, I'd say that it's relatively easy to make friends. You just have to be willing to put yourself out there.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. One of the panelists here is now a board member, Mike Hess. Mike has been a faculty in the summer program in peace and conflict studies. And he's been engaged also in higher education, both in United States and in RIT Kosovo. His background comes both being in command and staff assignments in US, Germany, where he taught European history at the United States Military Academy. On the same time in Kosovo, he teaches in a program that is has quite diverse set of students, students that are coming from United States, students that are coming from the Balkans and the place where conflict happened, students from Kosovo and students from Europe. How is that experience, Professor Hess, in this case? And do you see, how these students can collectively learn about the conflict that existed, or how do they communicate with each other? Have you seen any kind of challenges there?
Well, thank you, Visar. It's great to be here. It's great to see everybody, even Kamal, who I see unfortunately on a regular basis, but he harasses me about not being a participating board member enough. I had the pleasure of coming to Kosovo in 1999. I love Kosovo. I obviously have a lot of good friends still in Kosovo, but also many here in the U.S. So it's very fortunate. One of the things I joke about Kosovo is it's the only country in the world I know of where you have a George Bush Boulevard and a Bill Clinton Boulevard that intersect and get along well, because it's pretty unusual in this country. So I love coming to Kosovo every summer. And as Visar mentioned, I've been teaching in the peace and conflict studies. And you're absolutely right. As I listened to what Kamal and Dardan said, they hit all the key points. Diversity is really important in your education because when you get exposed to other people's values and you get to see how those intersect with yours, you can't put a price tag on that. And the students that we've had in the summer program come from, we've had Australians, we've had Iraqis, we've even had some Iranians. Yes, Kamal, a couple of Iranians. And then from all over Europe and the US. And it's fascinating to see how they transform. We also work very hard to make sure that we get some students out of Serbia. And I remember the first time we taught the course in 2010, we had one student who came from Serbia, and he was a bit apprehensive because he had never been there before. And so, but to see how he interacted with the students from Kosovo and how he became, how it changed his mindset about Kosovo, to the point that he ended up staying for 2 years and working with an NGO in Kosovo because it had broadened his experiences so much. And 1 year we had a student from Serbia who actually taught the Albanian language class, which was also remarkable. So it's that diversity that's important. And to build on what Dardan was saying about skill sets, when I don't want to say it's the American model, but certainly experiential learning is part of the process. And we believe that developing your skill sets, being able to do presentations, being able to communicate orally and in writing are critical to your success when you leave the university, because we want you to be successful. And we emphasize that a lot, and I think the model emphasizes that a lot. We do a lot of teamwork exercises, and invariably, I don't want to pick out a university, but we often get students who come from a European university where they haven't been, where they get lectured to, and do not participate in class as much. And we give 30% of our grade as class participation, and they are astounded. You mean you actually want us to say something? And we say yes, because your ability to interact with other people is what's really important here. And you have ideas and you have different perspectives. And that's what's important here. It's not just sitting listening to a bunch of old white-haired guys like me. It's what you are experiencing from this, and to be able to do it in a country where it's happened, I think is absolutely critical, absolutely crucial. We encourage our students to go downtown, to interact, and it's fun to see the U.S. students and the ones from other countries around the world go downtown and make friends with Kosovars, and to actually see the experience of what peace building and peacekeeping has, and how it's been successful there in Kosovo. So I think it's invaluable, Visar. Hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you, Mike. That definitely answers the question. And since we are at the question, we have two questions from the audience in the Q&A. I would not leave them to end. So maybe the first one is more appropriate for Dr. Sharabi. Exum Goshi is asking, what kind of partnership, if any, does RIT Kosovo have with other local universities in Kosovo? And if you could.
Well, if you're talking about partnership, it means if I have an MOU signed with a local university, no, there is such a thing. Okay. Number one, because we're the only institute that has the American system over here. This is a partnership, a considered partnership. The student from any university in Kosovo can come over here and vice versa. Okay. And if the classes that they're taking in another institution, it meets the equivalency of our classes, we fully honor the number of the credit to the students. Now, in the other level, the partnership that we have, again, these are all, part of our business, Our student, they can work with the student in the other universities across the, Kosovo and outside the Kosovo too. The relationship of the faculty, they work with each other, they conduct research together, and part of the research that they do, the students are integrated, okay? And we are in a continuous communication with each other. With other universities in Kosovo, we are in communication. We know what they're doing, they know what we are doing. And, again, we don't compete versus each other. Each of us have a unique, system of education, and we have our own targeted group of the students, Therefore, we don't compete with each other, we work with each other. And we're going to, of course, continue to keep that relationship. I don't know if that answered the question of the fellow student that asked.
I think it does, and if not, I encourage Exxon to ask a follow-up question. I know that students have been engaged in various projects with other universities, so student to students, faculty to faculty collaboration have been ongoing over the years. And even now with the R&D lab, there are joint projects between University of Pristina students and our students. But at an institutional level, that I think was the question which was answered.
We saw the best part that I like once a year when we have a debate of the student from different university and ours, they sit around and the debate. That's the best part I really enjoy, that they debate with each other, and then at the end, they go to the canteen and have a lunch or dinner and they go out too. I don't get into that part. I'm a gray hair guy, they don't let me, but I'm there most of the work with them.
Okay, thank you, Kamal. One of the panelists is also Lavon Bayrami. Lavon has been working at RIT Kosovo forever, for more than 17 years, and is actually the first phase that students, whether coming from Kosovo or from diaspora, see. So it would be interesting to learn from Lavon. Some of the admission requirements are TOEFL and then math. But if a student is coming from United States and Albanian American from diaspora, do those requirements change? And how do students actually can adapt coming from a community college to a four-year college in Kosovo?
Thank you, Visar. Hi, everyone. My name is Davon Bayram. I'm the Dean of Enrollment and Scholarships here at RITK. And I'm gonna come back to Visar's question just in a while. I'm just gonna talk about, three important things that I consider are very important, and that, questions that I get every day when I meet with students and parents. So one common thing that they always ask is like, what's special about AUK? Why should we join? And I consider at least three things that make us unique. It is the partnership that we have with RIT, Rochester Institute of Technology. It's definitely our advantage in the region and actually internationally, because you rarely find something as unique as it is, our partnership with them. Our students, upon graduation, receive an RIT degree, same as the ones that are in US. So I would say this is not like an American degree. This is an American degree, undergraduate American degree for the ones that are interested for the bachelor. The second important thing is that our academic programs are career focused. We're very career focused. We have a career office here in campus that offers lots of co-op opportunities, internship opportunities for our students. And just like Dardan mentioned, that is like actually a step forward towards having our students find full-time jobs before they graduate. More than 70% of our students find jobs here and in the region before their graduation, which is our goal. And then last but not least, it is definitely our generous scholarship program. And this is thanks to our donor base that we currently have and that we're expanding. We've been very lucky with many of the donors from American and European diaspora. And we were able to maintain a high percentage of students that apply and that receive scholarships every year. Every year here, about 55% of students, freshman students that apply and get accepted, receive some kind of a scholarship. And then that rate a little bit drops to about 35% of students that receive some kind of a scholarship while they continue on their second, third, and fourth year. So these are three main things that, why students choose us. Going back to what Visar mentioned and pointed out, we are a selective university, but our admission process is very individualized. We pay attention to every application that we receive because different from big US universities, here we get about 350 applications every year, quite good. But then out of that, about 150 are that we accept. So we are selective on, compared to how the admission works around here. The admission requirements, students applying need to submit a good TOEFL score above 70 in TOEFL. And we have an institutional math exam that students take. In cases when they have SAT or ACT, then those two exams, SAT and ACT, are enough, sufficient for admissions for as long as your score is above 1,100 new SAT, because we're not using anymore the old SAT scores. So students coming from US or EU can decide on which direction they want to take. They can do, students actually from US do not have to do TOEFL at all. They just need to give us their high school GPA of mathematics, and then we're going to test them again in mathematics once they're here in Kosovo. And that's what we call a placement exam. We want to evaluate their mathematics skills and then decide what kind of a method they're going to be able to take here. While students from EU, meaning that have not done their high school in English and come, let's say, from Germany or Switzerland or Scandinavia, we ask them to take TOEFL, and they can easily do it in their countries because TOEFL is the standardized, very popular test. And then once upon they're here, we again test them in mathematics, same as we do with US students. What's an advantage for students applying from EU and US? It is that we pay attention and we can trust the high school GPAs that they get. We do not do the same with students in Kosovo. Students in Kosovo, because of the weak system here, we do not pay that much attention. That it's high school GPA. Does not weigh that much in our admission process. Here we test them more, while students coming from abroad, we test them less. So for the ones that are in diaspora living, interested to come here, whether it would be from the very beginning as a conventional student, or whether it would be as a transfer or just a visiting student, the easiest way is always to send us an email, tell us what are their needs and what can we do, and then we always find a good way to bring them in. Traditional, conventional students is easy because we have already systems in place, while transfer and visiting students always go through the RIT processes, which means that if a student from community college applies to us, we take them through RIT, and then RIT knows exactly how to transfer them in. RIT is this very unique school in US, which has lots of partnerships with community colleges, and they're very good at evaluating the school that you may be coming from. They're specialized, I would call it, they're specialized in, knowing how to transfer and how to personalize your admissions process. So that would be all from me. I can do a little bit more in terms of the academic programs that we're offering, the degrees and all that, but I'm not sure how much more time I can have.
Since you mentioned the scholarship, we have a question from Najia Buyupi. And her question is, the American education in Kosovo is a huge financial investment and thus better accessible for privileged students, maybe. Or are there extra resources and scholarship for easier access from diaspora?
Okay, so our scholarship program, basically our scholarships are awarded on basis of need and merit. The merit part of the scholarship program is same for everyone. You're a good student with lots of academic credential behind and lots of activities, high school activities, you will be treated same as a student from Kosovo. While for the students that need scholarship, we're very focused at helping students that come from the country and from the region, because that is our mission and that is what our donors require. We consider that students coming from diaspora with the tuition that we have are gonna have it much easier to pay our tuition. Our tuition is around $7,000 compared to RIT tuition, which is $50,000 per year. So this is just like 1/7 of the RIT cost. And what we do with some of the donations that we receive, we subsidize the cost of this education. So the degree that you receive here, every student receives, is already subsidized. I hope I answered Najia's answer.
Yes, you did. And as part of the chat, Avni Mustafa said that universities has been the center of societal change. And what responsibilities does AUK or RIT have to fostering that energy in Kosovo? And I think this question is better.
Oh, it's great to hear from Avni. He was part of this place. So Avni knows a lot about us, and I'm happy he says this. We've been I would say we've been very successful in terms of, what do I call, the benefit that this society is seeing from the education we're providing. About 95% of our alumni have good jobs now. We already have many placed in important positions in Kosovo institutions, governmental, as well as then in the private sector. In terms of institutions, government and all that, we already have a Minister of Foreign Affairs that has, finished here. We have people like Dardan Hayrizai that we're very proud of, doing some very interesting and creative work with NGOs and think tanks around here. And then we have also now students that are running private businesses. They have their own businesses. We even have alumni that employ 200 or 300 employees around here, have good companies. They've been creative. They've been the real entrepreneurs. So I think in every sphere of the life here in Kosovo and the region, probably region is going to take a little bit longer, but Kosovo is already seeing a change from what our alumni are, kind of giving back to the country.
Thank you, Lavan. We also have a question, but I think this one is directed to me by Ed Hamill. Says COVID-19 has had a huge impact on the educational institutions worldwide. And I know RIT Kosovo has risen to the challenge and has raised money for needy students in its community. How is that campaign going? That campaign is going very well. We have reached 88% of the goal to raise $250,000 to help students in need. This semester started without any student having to stop their education because of financial reason, which we were very, very happy. And at least for this semester, that challenge has been addressed to some degree. We also received a large support from the Biberai family to establish a new scholarship that will grant needy and deserving students in the region the opportunity to get a US degree. And what is interesting, since we are on Diaspora Flet conference, is that even today, our diaspora has the potential to significantly contribute to the advancement of social and economic well-being in Kosovo, and not just through remittances and not just through emergencies, but also through support of the educational development in the country. And we notice with this campaign as well that our diaspora has continued to give back outside of their direct family and support other social investments for public good, both in the region, like school in Sukobin, in Montenegro, mosques and churches, community centers, health clinic, and all this is given rise to what I call the new era of diaspora philanthropy. And I believe that this area has represent an underappreciated but emerging opportunity where diaspora can intervene in the education system, what basically the state cannot do in essence. I hope I answered that.
Visar.
Yes.
Visar. May I add something here?
Yes, please, Mike.
So one of the things I failed to mention is that I met my wife in Kosova in 1999, and she would beat me up if I didn't tell that part of the story. But she was one of the founding members of IPCO, and I think everybody in the room knows IPCO a lot better than I do. And she now works for an NGO. We do a lot of work around the world. I worked at USAID for a while and got to see various parts of the world. And one of the things that we talk about is the brain drain. How many people leave countries that are developing? Kosova is, and the beauty of an education and coming back, and you see it with Dardan and many others, the people who come back and give back to the country. Who give back to Kosova. And you look at the graduates, my wife is still involved with the IPCO Foundation, the head of which is a graduate of RITK. So, the people in Kosova are giving back to Kosova to have that opportunity for other people. They also participate in these NGOs to solve these other challenges that happen in society. So I'm very pleased and honored to see how RITK and Kosovo in general, you don't see the brain drain there. There is this big allure. I can go off and make a lot of money someplace else in the world. But a lot of the graduates do come back and stay and work in Kosova to improve Kosova. Sorry.
No, not at all. Thank you. That was a very, very good input. As we're nearing a little bit the end of this breakout session, I would love from all the panelists, just to give us like a closing remark. Imagine I'm a student, or I am a parent of a student that could potentially come here. What would be the message that you would send me in terms of the benefit to actually come there and get a US degree in Kosovo? And we could start with Dr. Sharabi.
Okay. I guess it's done now. Well, what message I have for the students, huh? Well, I tell you what, when you join us, the first month you love us, then for the remaining 3.5 years, you're going to hate us. But when you graduate and you get the job and you see, okay, now 90% or 96% of our grads, they have a job in their field. Their salary is well above the normal or norm, for their field, and they realize how they could integrate what they learn in classroom at their work. At that time, they're gonna love us, and they come back. And here you have example. You have one live example of it sitting with us here that he finished, he left. If you ask him, he's gonna tell you how much he hated us, when he was taking classes. And when he saw the benefits, he'll start loving us and he come back for more. He's back for more, to get the abuse that he had for 4 years. No, but you won't regret. I guarantee you, you won't regret, spending the time here and get your education here.
Thank you, Dr. Sharabi. Professor Hess?
Sure. A couple of quick things, and Dr. Sharabi is obviously on point. I have to say that because he's my boss. So he's always on point. But look at what you go to school for. Obviously, to get an education, you're going to get a first-rate education and a degree from an American university. But think about it in these terms. You do better when you work outside of your comfort zone. If we stay in our comfort zones, we don't expand. We don't have that diversity that Kamal was talking about and Dardan was talking about. Get out of that comfort zone. Take that chance. But the other thing that we haven't talked about is the network you build while you're in school. And when I talk about the people that I have known in undergrad and graduate school, they are some of my friends for life. And it's that network that you get at RITK that's also really invaluable. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that as well.
Thank you, Professor Hess. Lavan, now you get questions from the parents. So, as a parent, why I should trust my kid and send him across the ocean, or maybe within the continent, but to Kosovo to study and get a degree.
It's several things. Based on my experience and knowledge that I have of diaspora parents and kids, I would say that this would be for them a very unique opportunity. And it is actually 3 reasons. And I think Mike already touched on at least 2 of them. So RIT degree, they will be coming here. They would get an RIT degree that is worldwide recognized. So no matter where they decide to live in the future, this is a worldwide recognized diploma and a degree. The quality of academic programs is in addition to all this. Then what's also important is that for a period of time, at least, they will be very close to their family roots, and maybe decide to even stay longer and contribute here, something that their parents only kind of dreamt of. And then the last thing is definitely the friendships that they will benefit so much in the near future. If they decide to go back and live in Germany or US, they're always going to have people here to establish business contacts, as well as, those social, so needed contacts that we kind of so crucial are for all of our Albanian diaspora. So these are the 3 things. And, at the end of the day, I know that coming from Germany, coming from US, from Scandinavia, to some extent, Kosovo seems like a risky place, but it's not actually. It's pretty safe to live here. The roads are not as good as in Scandinavia, but you know what? I go to Scandinavia and get bored in 2 weeks because nothing happens there. Kosovo is like every day something new. So it's, take it as an experience. Don't get mad at it. So that's about it, I would say.
Thank you, Lavan. And Dardan, for you as someone who has actually lived through what we are talking as benefits, for someone as a diaspora? What would your message be to the student out there?
I would say, Visar, I went through the 4 years of schooling and getting a degree at RIT Kosovo, as Dr. Sharabi metaphorically put it, abused. I would say that it's something that you should definitely try. Just as Mr. Hess also pointed out, you should always try to get outside of your comfort zone. I did just that, and I ended up learning so many valuable lessons, both from my professors and all the colleagues and friends that I've made over my 4 years at AUK. And I enjoyed it so much that I decided to do another program, the master's program, and I'm having a great time there as well. So what I would just say as like a closing comment would be just keep calm and come to RITK.
Okay, thank you very much for the lovely discussions. We don't have questions anymore from the audience, but there is a comment that I would like Professor Sharabi to address. On his opening of the discussion, he mentioned the American system as the best system out there in the world. And we understand for 35 years you worked on the American system. That's the system I had my education and most of my education in. And basically, it's Bruno Hossa, and he says, Finland, Singapore have ranked higher than US for many years. How could we claim a US system is the best? So I'm a diaspora from Finland. Doesn't appealing this US being the best.
Oh, that's easy. That's easy to answer. Number one, okay, Singapore asked US to come over there to implement our education system for them, okay? Why did they do that, okay? But let's look at it this way. Now, when you look at those ranking, let's say the mathematics, United States, is ranked, toward the bottom of the table, okay? But then look at the other side. The innovation that's coming out, where are they coming out from? The little cell phone that you carry today, which is a portable computer, where did it start? Okay, did it start in Finland? Did it start in Singapore? No. I'll tell you another thing. Mike's mentioned that he had a student from my country. I'm originally from Iran. Google Sharif University. It's ranked number 1 in electrical engineering for many years. Number 1 compared to all countries, all the electrical engineerings that exist. Okay, and then when you take that graduate, that is ranked number 1. Okay, when you take that this graduate and when he's exposed to the education system that we have, maybe we didn't give them the theory as deep as they were receiving in the Sharif University. They appreciate what we have. Why? Because a student in the classroom can, put his hand up and tell the professor, excuse me, sir, you're wrong. The theory that you're telling me is not correct. And the student looks at that, the professor look at the student and they ask the rationale, and then the rationale is given, you're gonna erase it and you're gonna write the correct thing. Okay, go try that in some other nation. Okay, I want to say how many countries the professor that is standing in front of the room, a student, they have the courage, to do something like that. That's what makes difference. That's what makes a difference between the education system. The book is the same book. All of us, we use the same book. It's depending on how we integrate it, what opportunities given to the students, how to use that book and apply that book. That makes us unique. That's what makes us unique. Okay. Again, we're a small college over here. Look at the number of the students that graduated from this institute and compare to those that they graduate in Germany, in France, in England. How many of our graduates are successful? They're ahead of the game in compared to the others. Okay, that's what makes the education system better. As far as the theory goes, it's the same. I'm an electrical engineer. When I studied Ohm's law, the Ohm's law in United States, in Kosovo, in Singapore is Ohm's law. You cannot change it. To a level even that we use the same letter. Okay, we talk different language, we use the same letter to write it. Okay, that won't make any difference. How to use it make difference, and we provide that opportunity to the students, from day one, and we show them how to use the opportunity. We allow them to talk and express themselves where other places they don't.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sharabi, and thank you all for participating in this session. I believe that Laban has already shared his contact information, but it's on the web, so any conference member that has future question can connect with Laban either here using the Diaspora Flet conference portal or even write back. Thank you once again. This session is...
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you. Bye now.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.